It's April 25th, 2022. Incredible country of India. My name is Jong-woo Han. I am the president of Korean War Legacy Foundation, which has about 1,600 interviews, not just from the United States, but every other country that participate in the Korean War. And now we are in India so that we can cover all 22 countries that fought for Korea 72 years ago. This is my great honor and pleasure to meet you, sir. And it's amazing to be in New Delhi, the capital city of incredible India. Thank you for coming. And we are doing this so that we don't forget about the Korean War that you fought for 72 years ago, because it's been known as forgotten war. And we want to spread your story in India so that the future generation of India can learn from you. It's my great honor, and thank you for coming again. We are here with the Secretary General of Korean War Veterans Association of India, Mr. Anil Malhotra. He's been really helping me to arrange this whole series of interviews. And here again, Mandeep Singh, the Colonel Singh's grandson, is with us. So I will ask you to join a little bit later, okay? So please introduce yourself. What is your name, sir?
I am Lieutenant Colonel Angad Singh. I have joined the Army in 1950 in Army Service Corps, and it was my great honor to be posted to Custodian Force of India as one of the members of that great force. It was for the first time in the history of mankind that the Indian Army was chosen to perform tasks which no other army in the world was allowed to do so. It was a very rare occasion where South Korea and North Korea have been fighting against each other from 25th of June 1950 to 27th July of 1953.
So before we go into that, thank you again, but could you spell your name, first name? What is your first name?
Angad, A-N-G-A-D.
What is your last name, sir?
Singh, S-I-N-G-H.
Thank you, sir. And what is your birthday? When did you born? Birthday.
I was born on 10th April 1934.
So April 10th. So your birthday was about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Yes.
You are very right.
So how old are you today?
I have completed my 88 years of age.
88?
88.
I don't see any wrinkle in your forehead. What's going on?
No. Why? It is a normal thing. Nothing special about it. I am leading a normal life, and I feel greatly honored and pleasure to say that I am as fit as fiddle.
You look great, sir. You look like a 60-year-old man.
Thank you for the compliment, sir.
And where were you born?
I was born in Ambala.
Mala?
Ambala, A-M-B-A-L-A, district of Haryana. Now Haryana, at that time in Punjab.
Punjab.
Erstwhile Punjab.
Yeah. So Ambala district.
Ambala. B-A-L-A.
B-A-L-A. And tell me about your family when you were growing up. What did your father and your mother and your siblings actually? Please tell me about your family when you were a child.
My father was a teacher, and my mother was a homemaker, and we are 4 brothers and 3 sisters.
Wow.
By grace of God, we are all alive. My one brother, youngest brother, is in Doha, in the Arabian countries, and another brother is settled here in Delhi only. He was serving Government of India. The other was serving in research and development of the Government of India. He has also retired from service, and he is settled in Chandigarh.
What did your father teach History or what? Math? What did your father?
He was teaching history.
History.
Yes.
That's very good.
He was a teacher in the middle school. We have got primary school, middle school, high school, and then the college.
Wow, that's very nice. So what about you? Did you learn anything about the history of Asia when you were growing up?
Actually, when I was a young child, I have been reading the history books. Although history was at that time was not taught in the way as it is being taught these days. At that time, it was very simple, say, lessons from the history that a child of about 8 or 9 years could understand and learn it. But I have learned, I read what they call sacred books like Ramayana, Mahabharata during those days. And then the Muslim people or Arabian countries, they had invaded India from the Kabul side, and I learned those history. And the main battles were fought here in Panipat, and which is not very far off from Delhi. And Delhi was the capital of India at that time. So I learned quite a lot of historical things and facts about this thing. Then the greatest thing which I learned little later, at that time, was from the Sikh gurus. There were 10 Sikh gurus. Although it is a religious sect, they keep long this hair and
Sheikh, right?
Yes, but the most grateful people we should feel as a nation were the teachings of those gurus. Our ninth Guru Tegh Bahadur.
That's great. So you were growing up in a very well-educated family. Your father was a history teacher, and so when did you graduate? Did you graduate high school? When did you graduate your high school?
Well, if I tell you the truth,
tell me the truth.
I passed out my matriculation examination from a high school, and from there I have been traveling by train from one place to another. Although it was all not conducted for any excursion, but it was my duty, to go sometime. Then I used to find many army people traveling the train, and they are putting on this olive green uniform. Then I got, why can't I wear this uniform?
You liked it?
I liked it.
Yeah.
So after doing my matriculation examination, although I had scored quite very good high marks, and my father was saying that you must join the college. I told him, sir, my respected father, please allow me to join the army.
When was it? What year?
1950. The year I passed my matriculation examination, I wanted that I want to go to army. He was not agreeing.
Happy.
He was not happy that I should join the army.
I agree with him, but
yes.
But that's how you become the Korean War veteran, right?
Yes,
and that's why how we met
Correct.
here today.
Yes.
Excellent.
Then I tell you this. See, he tried to persuade me through his friends. Ask him to join the college. He will study there. He'll be better off. Now he joins as a soldier in the army. What is he going to do? What is he going to learn? Things like that. They tried to persuade me, but I had somehow warm in my mind that I must join the army. So I joined the army.
So even though you were a very good student and you were good at mathematics,
yes,
but still you wanted to join the Army of India.
Yes.
Yes. And before we talk a little bit more about your basic training experience, I want to ask you about this. Did you learn or did you know anything about Korea around the time that when you joined the army in 1950?
No, I did not know anything about it. When I was posted to Custodian Force India, we were looking, where is Korea?
Where is Korea?
So we saw the atlas, and from there we see a small place in the near Japan. It is located there, and very small, very tiny place. So I don't know what happened there and why the custodian, we call it custodian force, what we are going for, what purpose? So it was at that place that we learned.
So compared to India, Korea was like a dot.
Yes,
Very
right,
small.
very right.
Yeah.
It was a tiny nation. And when we sailed from Madras, and before we sailed, we were given a talk by the governor of Tamil Nadu, that Madras, now Tamil Nadu, that look boys, you are going abroad. It is for the first time that Indian army is going on a peace mission. Army normally go for fighting war, but you people have been deputed to bring peace to that war-torn nation. We felt very happy and that it will be an enjoyable trip.
So you didn't know where Korea was, you didn't know much about it, but you were very happy,
we were happy
to go to Korea to fight for Korea.
Correct.
That was in 1950?
No, actually we went after the armistice has taken place. We went in 1953.
53?
Yes.
Okay. But have you been back to Korea since then?
Oh yes, after that I have been to Korea a number of times.
When did you go? Do you remember?
It was, I think, 2006.
2006?
Yes.
And?
And later on also, a couple of years more, I went there.
When was the latest?
Latest, I think, it 2009, perhaps.
2009?
9 years.
So,
And
Colonel, you are in a very unique position to be able to compare Korea in 1953-54 and now. When you revisited Korea, what did you see? Tell me the detail, because young students in India doesn't know anything about those. So please give us detail of Korea in 1953 you first saw and 2009.
in 1953, we went to Incheon. At that time, President Syngman Rhee was the president of South Korea. He was under the impression that India is a communist country. So he was totally against Indian army people.
Wow.
He did not allow us to land in South Korea. We have gone from Madras in a by sea. When we reached near shore of Incheon, we went to the battleship of the USA. From there, we were heli lifted directly to demilitarized zone. On the way, whatever we could see through the windows of the helicopter, we saw that there was devastation everywhere. After settling down in the demilitarized zone, we had occasions to go here and there, but only within the demilitarized zone, because we were not allowed to go outside. And we saw that the railway station, which was existing somewhere nearby, had simply been finished by the fire. There were many holes. Only for the namesake, a war was standing, but it had many holes. Platform was not there. There were no building at all. So you could imagine the devastations, because at a place where the troops have gone 3-4 times up and down, one can imagine what will be left there. So whenever we got a chance to go nearby, we saw that there were only agriculture there. I think this barley or things like that, rice used to be grown there. We could see those crops, and the people were staying in kacha house, like the people staying in India during those days. In the village, they were all kacha house made of wood, this mud. So we could see that this is just like another agriculture country like India. I did not find any heavy industry or any, industry there at all, or any mill, or any workers there. But I didn't have very good impression that it's just like a country like India. But after retirement from the army, when I went there as a delegation or as a member of this Korea Veteran Association, I was amazed.
Why?
I found when we landed from India to Korea, the Incheon airport, this airport was such a big airport. I couldn't imagine it, that Korea will have such a good airport. And we were well received by the Korean people there. They had got special buses for us, and there were people to guide us, help us. Even we had some people who, because of the age, were in not so good health as a normal man should be. But they helped them. They allowed them to sit on the wheelchairs, drove to the vehicle, then uplifted and allowed them to sit in the buses. And when we drove out from the airport, we said there are 8 lanes on one side. It was a big change. We did not. When I went there in 1950, there was hardly any road for namesake. There were many potholes there at that time. There were hardly any proper road worth name. But here there were 8 lanes on one side, another 8 lanes on the other side. I was wonderstruck. And similarly, when I went to Seoul and the nearby places, I saw lot of improvement, lot of gadgets. And we stayed in a hotel, its name was Lulu?
Lotte?
Lotte. You are very right. Oh, yes. And this hotel was 7-star hotel.
Yep.
One of the best hotel in the country. I was totally amazed. And I was told that the swimming pool at floor number 6, my God, we were staying at the number 4, 4th floor, but swimming pool is so high. So I could, yes, these people are progressing. But I learned it. It is because these people were so hardworking, so diligent, and they were so proud of their country. They were excelling in every way. So it was an eye-opener for us as compared to them, because we had gained our independence in 1947, and they were still fighting until 1953. Mm-hmm. And during all these days, they have gone ahead of us, and we are nowhere as compared to them. So it was a great lesson for me to know.
So do you know the rank of South Korea in the world? South Korean economy, the rank, number in the world. South Korean economy. Guess.
South Korea economy, I should say, was totally ruined.
Yeah. But now
it is one of the number 1 country in the whole world. It is producing, exporting items which we can't think. These electronic things, they are number 1 in the whole world.
Yeah.
You go and find now China has overtaken because of many other reasons. Because now these South Korean people, they are much ahead. These item produced are more durable and less expensive and less complicated than what the Chinese people are producing.
It's officially number 10 in the world. Yeah. Number 10.
Still, it is very good, I should say, for such a small country to go ahead from a ruined country. It is just like you say, this house is totally broken and somebody has to construct it. Needs a lot of effort, lot of money, lot of hard work, and lot of dedicated people. Most of the thing which I should say, it comes from the population of the Republic of Korea.
So that is your legacy. That's because you fought there for Korean people so that they were given another opportunity to rebuild their nation. Now it's number 10 in the world in terms of its economy, and it's one of the most substantive democracy in the whole world. We know how to put our president into prison.
Yes, yes.
I was coming to that.
Tell me.
You see, the basic thing about these people, they are very honest, very hardworking. If people have misused their authorities, they will not bother about their rank. They were not bothered about their status. They were not bothered about what they have done in the past. But if they know this man is corrupt, this man has got ill-gotten wealth, then he will be punished, and he will be punished sooner. He will not be, trial will not be going on for years or decades. Unlike India, today it is very difficult. We know a number of people are corrupt here, but trial is still going on and nothing happens. There they don't bother. If a person has taken graft, he has done something wrong, he will be taken off from there, he will be punished, he will be sent to the jail.
Yes.
The other great thing which I learned from them is that they don't go on the recommendations of somebody. If a person is hardworking, he is intelligent, he will find his due place in the society, in their culture or their economy. His knowledge, his hard work counts there. I feel very proud to having worked in such an atmosphere where you come to know the people like this.
Yeah, so that is your legacy.
Yeah.
You are so proud of it because you were part of the whole thing. But the Korean War has been known as forgotten war. What about here in India? Do they teach about Korean War here in the middle school and high school?
I'm very sorry to say that our nation has to learn quite many things from your country. And the greatest thing which it is an eye-opener for me that you have produced such a good book. And I request you to give me a copy of this. I will send to the Prime Minister. Request him to teach such things in the schools and colleges. Here the people do not know about deeds of our people. They know, yes, Indian Army has fought and so and so, they have won. They do not know what problem they had faced and how did they have been. I'll just give you an example. Siachen Glacier, most inhabitable area in the world where the army, Indian Army and the Pakistan Army is on blow with each other.
Yeah.
Yes. So there is a highest post in Siachen Glacier. The Indian Army people are trying to capture it, but they have not been successful. And the place is so small that large number of people cannot be deployed there. So it is an operation by 3 or 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
So J&K Rifle was a deputy who were working there that you capture so and so post. So 3 people from that regiment were sent, and they used to go there, walk at night. During daytime they were sleeping in the snow itself. On the 3rd night, when they reached there, they saw that a small lamp is burning there, and they saw that one sentry was standing there. So one night completely they lay hiding there, seeing what activities are taking place there. On the next night, one person went ahead, he threw a grenade inside this thing, in that bunker. And then he withdrew that rifle also. And after some few seconds, there was a blow there, hand grenade burst. And those 3 people, they were the sentry there, they were killed.
Yeah.
And that is how that person was able to capture this thing. And how that post came under our command. Pakistan Army tried a number of occasions to recapture it, but they could not send. That fellow was granted Mahavir Chakra. That gentleman is still here, and he was promoted as a captain. So these deeds are not very well known in the country.
Right.
And this book makes.
Mr. Anil, could you give that book to him?
Yes.
And
This is the book. Now, if this is made, this type of this book is written here and made part of syllabus to be taught in schools and colleges, people know, they feel how much pride or proud they feel about the devotion to duty, their sacrifices, and how hardworking and under what conditions these people were living there or working there. So this is.
so that's why we want to make the same curriculum book for Indian generation, the young generations of India, so that they can learn from your experience, the Indian custodian force during the Korean War. Would you support that?
I feel very happy to know it, and I'll try to send it. I will send it this copy to the Prime Minister of India so that he knows what a small country can do, and what if that country knows that people have died for this nation, then they will not only feel proud but will feel great honor in teaching those subjects to their children, coming generations, so that they learn a lesson. Here I feel very sad actually, because he knows that how the Sikh gurus have sacrificed their lives, their families. I was just telling you that Guru Tegh Bahadur was the 9th Guru of Sikhs. He is known as Hind Ki Chadar. Hind Ki Chadar means the person who has given cover to the entire nation. And he was sitting in a place where these Kashmiri Pandits had come and requested him that Hazur, we are being made forcibly as Muslims. We have request to get help from you. A small child, the next Guru Gobind Singh, who was about 10 years old at that time, he came there and saw his father sitting in a tense mood. He found, "Father, what has happened?" Guru Tegh Bahadur replied, "Son, these people have come from Kashmir, and they are saying that Muslims are trying to convert them into Muslims if they want to survive there, and they have come to seek my help." So the child, Guru Govind's next Guru, he replied, "Then who can be better than you?"
Right.
He is asking his father to sacrifice yourself.
Yes.
So he told these Pandits that you go and tell those people that if you can make our Guru as Muslim, we will all get converted.
Yeah. So this is very important for us to make an Indian version of that book.
Yes.
My foundation supported the Great Britain. We funded them so that they have the British version of it. The Canadian government is making, because we funded them. We taught them how to make this. So it's going to be out there soon. So if we can work together, I want to make an Indian version of it, and then we can hold conference for the history teachers in India so that they can keep talking about the war that many Indian forces, custodian forces, fought for Korea. Okay, that's why we are doing this, and that's why I need more interviews from Korean War veterans and also descendants, including you. So I'm going to question you too on May 3rd, sir. Okay.
Sure.
So let's talk about your war experience. You joined the army in 1950, right?
Yes.
What month was it? What date?
This was 24th October 1950.
October 24th, 1950.
50 years.
And tell me, where did you get the basic training?
Bangalore.
Bangalore?
Bangalore.
Bangalore, okay. And how long?
Now in Karnataka, it was 1 year training.
1 year?
Yes.
Why is it so long? In the United States, they maximum 4 weeks.
No, no, no. It is not like that. There is basic training, that is normal drill and all that. Then weapon training, all these things. It takes time.
So already you knew that Korean War broke out when you joined the army, right? Were you afraid?
No, I was not afraid.
You may go to war and you may lose your life.
No, no. I was not afraid to that extent. You see, I know. Actually, one thing which we are taught from the early beginning of life is the life is given by God. You will die when your time comes. You will not die before that. That is the basic teaching from our parents, which have been learning all these things. So don't worry about this thing. All these things will go on happening.
So you were not afraid?
I was not afraid.
So what was your unit, military unit? Division, battalion, whatever, please.
No, it was a small unit. This is known as Army Service Corps unit. It is, you can say, just a company strength. Company.
What company?
AST company. We have got 3-4 branches in it. One is the service supply branch, where the rations are supplied to the troops. The other is a transport company, where the mechanical transport, the vehicles are supplied.
Yeah.
Then the third is animal transport. We had animal transport also, mules.
That's very interesting.
Yes, yes. Because there are places which are not connected by road where the vehicles can go. So at those places, the supplies and other important items of day-to-day living are supplied by the animal transport.
Huh? So what was your specialty? You did supply or what did you do?
No, I was not specialized in this thing. I was on a clerical job.
Huh?
Clerk type.
Clerk.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about, so when did you arrive in Incheon? 1953?
No. Yes, 1953, yes. It was sometime, I think, August or so.
August. Yeah. And where did you go and what did you do? Give me detail, because young generation here wants to know what did you do in your service in Korea.
In Korea, we were taken off from the battleship to the demilitarized zone. The accommodation was already...
Where was it? Demilitarized zone where? In the east or west?
No, it is in there on 38th parallel.
Huh?
38th parallel. There was you can say, Panmunjom is the important place.
Panmunjom. Yeah. So you were there around Panmunjom?
Around there. Yeah. And that area was known as Hindnagar because Indian troops were located there. The accommodation was, you can say, constructed by the US Army people. It consisted of basically about, it was a tented accommodation, but it was well built. Those were fireproof tents. They had this heating arrangements. They used to call it Bukharis. The kerosene oil used to burn at night, because at night the temperature used to go very down, and we used to sleep in those places. Mm-hmm. So, and during daytime it was more comfortable, and still we have got that, we used to call it coat parka, better than woolen stuff. So we used to go and work in the offices. Mm-hmm. But whenever we got a chance, especially when the prisoners had been taken over, and they used to be taken for, you can say, given a talk by their countrymen, their family members, like that, so that they were persuaded to go back to their country of origin. Mm-hmm. So we used to go there and listen to whatever the talk is going on. Oh, those were duties like this.
So when did you leave Korea?
Our actually work finished in 1954. We stayed for about a year there, and after 1954 we came back to India.
India. What month did you leave? 1954. What month?
We reached here in August.
August.
Yes, August.
So you were there for a year.
For a year.
1 year.
1 year.
Yeah. Were there any dangerous moment that you might have been losing your life
No,
or being killed?
No, in that Korea, our stay in the Korea did not involve any fighting. But at the same time, there was danger of these prisoners to break the, you can say, campus, because these people were very well organized. They had their commanders. In the camp, there used to be a number of enclosures, and every enclosure had a commander. Then he had his own people. If they know that A is going to be repatriated back to his country, somehow if they got any hint, they will throw him on the ground and kick him. Everybody will kick him, and he will die. And nobody will speak. Now, how did he die? There have been some number of cases where people were killed. Then, as custodian, we were responsible for their safe custody, that no one is torturing them and nobody is harming them. When they did not cooperate with us in inquiries, then these people, we suspected their leaders or those people who provocative speeches and kick them and hit them. We had captured them, and then a court martial was held. This went on. There were a number of preliminary questions by the both from the defendant side, then reply by the you can say state or the army side. So it went on. It did not come to any conclusion. But in the end, all these people have to be let off by us.
Okay. What was your rank at the time?
I was soldier.
Soldier, but were there any rank?
I was a, what they call, corporal.
Corporal.
Yes.
Okay. And let me ask this question. How much were you paid at the time? Your salary?
My salary was very little.
Tell me, how much?
I was getting about 80 rupees.
80 rupees.
Yes.
So, with the 80 rupees in 1950, what do you think that you were able to buy if you spent 80 rupees in India?
Well, in India during those days with 80 rupees, I could live a normal life, although it didn't involve any luxury, but my basic needs could be fulfilled by that.
Okay, so that's pretty good. So what did you do with that money? Did you spend the money in Korea or did you save it?
In Korea, we didn't have the opportunity to spend it,
Right.
because there was hardly any place to go.
Yeah.
It was only when we came back to India, only then we could spend. Moreover, the UN command or UNSM, according to the UN regulations, we could get better pay, more allowances. But India did not opt for this thing. Indian government said that will pay in the army scale which they are getting now. You need not pay them anything, else we will look after them. So why we were not getting any special pay for that purpose, whereas the other troops, they were getting better pay than us.
Got it. So, did you save that money?
It was almost all saving. There was hardly anything to do. Only 10, 15 rupees a month, because otherwise our say eatable things were coming free as rations. We used to cook it and then eat it and be happy with those things. There was hardly anything else to do. Okay. There was no place for us to go sightseeing or something like that.
What did you eat when you were in Korea? You didn't have a curry, right there?
No, we had our own cooks. Rations we were getting. Some rations were coming from China. Something used to come from USA. So turn by turn we used to make vegetables and this meat, chicken, eggs. Those things were coming. So we were getting all those things. Fruit was coming from USA.
That was pretty good then.
Yes, yes.
Good. Were there any Korean people working with you or Korean boys working for you guys?
No? We didn't have any Korean boy. No Korean people were working with us. We had our own people who were cooking food for us, or our own washermen who used to clean our clothes. we didn't have any.
Got it. So you were there after the armistice signed,
Yes.
August of 1953. But for our young generation in India, could you explain why India decided to participate in the Korean War, even though socialist, and how many came, what Indian custodian force did for Korea from when did, please explain this history of participation of Indian medical and combat team during the Korean War, because young generation doesn't know. I want to hear from your.
I tell you, this custodian force had a very difficult task. And before that, I should say, people know not because of the custodian force, but people know because of our medical services, which we have rendered during the actual Korean War.
Yes.
See, when the UNO passed a resolution that armed troops should be sent to the aid of South Korea under command of USA. So at that time, India decided that we will not send combat troops, we will send a medical team which will provide medical aid to the people of Korea, irrespective of whether they are North Korean or South Korean.
That's very important, irrespective of North Korea or South Korea. Yes.
I tell you a very simple thing. Now, as a soldier, the soldier stand between the nation and the enemy. He is safeguarding his nation. And a doctor or a medical person, he is standing between life and death. He is not bothered whether he is an enemy person or our own person. But he is an injured person, he is a sick person, he needs treatment. War hero, as they call, is known as by having a machine gun or a rifle or a tank or a battleship. But a medical team, this hero, war hero is not known with a stethoscope or surgeon with a scalpel, not known this, but he is performing a very important task, and people who have been cured by them, they know that what difference does it make of a help from the doctor. Then it later on that one of the field marshal of the those Commonwealth troops said that these people have survived because of the treatment given by the Indian Army people. So they had a very important role. And I must say that in this war, when the Indian Paratroop 60 Para Field Ambulance was the only unit as a medical unit and paratroopers.
Yes. And
it was led by the first army officer, first paratrooper. He was the first Colonel A.G. Rangaraj. He was the first Indian paratrooper doctor from the entire Indian Army, you can call, who was leading the medical team. So he was dropped along with the US troops behind the enemy lines. He established the medical hospital there, and when they landed, the war was still going on, and there was active firing going on. So there were many casualties lying in the field there. So one of the driver, his name was Angad Singh. He volunteered that I'll go and bring those people. So at great risk, he took his ambulance, went to the place where the people were lying, and brought them back. And he was doing irrespective on risk of his life throughout the day until the last man was brought. He brought 143 war casualties, which was a great task. And when the firing is going on,
there are other countries provided medical service like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Italy. But India was different because it was paratroopers going into the enemy line and set up the hospital, and so that there was a lot of casualties, right? Why don't we talk about this in India? Why don't we talk about it, and why don't we teach about it in the school? Why not?
I'm sorry to say that as a nation, we have failed.
This is a great story. India helped Korea, South Korea. Now South Korea is so prosperous, right? And democratic. This is a good story to tell to our younger generation.
I'll tell you another thing. You see, people knew Colonel Rangaraj by name as a war hero. After the war had stopped, 20 years after that, there was a hockey match between India and Pakistan being played at Seoul. That was the final match. People of South Korea, they came to know that Indian team, hockey team, is going to play match with the Pakistan team. More than 25,000 Korean people, South Korean people, came to back up, cheers the Indian team.
Mm-hmm.
Indian team people were surprised that how these people have come to cheers. Somebody asked, why are you cheering these people? So they say, they have come from the country of our benefactor, who came to us when we are in need of aid, help, saved our lives. Those field ambulance people, they have treated more than 2 lakh people there. And say, why should we not cheer them up? So you can imagine what respect they have got for Colonel Rangaraj. Now he has been declared as a war hero in 2010. His photos were displayed at various places throughout the country. So people still remember him.
So
and another thing is about this medical services, I should tell you. These US Army people, after some time, they thought of retreating from that area, that we will retreat, and they gave order to Rangaraj that you vacate and leave this thing and you retreat from here, because there is heavy snowfall and we will find it difficult to survive. He said, no, I cannot leave these people. There are a number of patients here in the hospital. How can I leave them behind? I'm not going to retreat. He says, the enemy will kill you, kick you. Then we will fight the enemy. So that was the spirit behind all this. They were working. They did not leave them. They treated those people there. And they had a 2 detachment. One detachment at a place, Daegu. Daegu.
Yeah.
So they treated the civilians also, not bothering whether they were actually involved in the war or not, but they treated them also. And there was one stage, then they were actually forced to leave that place. He did not leave the place, but the medicines and those equipment, what was needed for the treatment was depleting. There was hardly anything left. So somebody knew that the place from where these things were lying as a dump. He wanted to take them. And people do not know how to. There were 2 people who knew how to drive engine. Now engine was lying there. Boiler was needing water to put. They didn't have any water. So they were working. Buckets were taken, and with the help of bucket from the river, water was taken and put in the boiler. So they came to be known as Bucket Brigade.
Any other story that you want to share with us? Go ahead.
We can tell. Actually, when I was telling you about these guru sacrifices made by them,
Yeah.
it is one of the such a thing rare in the whole world. In the whole world, there is no other example where people have sacrificed themselves like this. Now a small child of about 10 years old or so, he is telling his father that you are the best person to give sacrifice. Better, what can be better than you? Who can be better than you? So these things, then when the 10th Guru became Guru, so he also established the same story. His mother and two children, aged about 7 years or 9 years, two children, they were taken prisoners by these Muslim forces, Mughal forces. They were brought to a place known as Sarhand. The town, it was the capital of, you can say, Punjab at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And they were brought there. They were put in they called it, this was during winter season, they called it Thanda Bruj, the cold place. And they were not provided any blankets or any proper items so that where they can comfortably live. No. So they next day they were brought in before these, they used to call them Subedar, that is the governor of Sarhand, and he asked them that you become Muslims, otherwise you will be built in these walls. So that was the punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Then they started, they did not agree to become Muslim. Then they were built alive in the walls. And when the mason was trying to break the brick so that his foot is not injured, so they were told, why do you break the brick? He replied that so that the foot is not injured. Don't worry about this thing. You can cut the foot. So these type of things were happening, and ultimately they died. Both the brothers they died there. In the same way, another two his children died, and his wife also died. The entire family was crucified, you can call it. There are no example anywhere in the world where people gave their lives for the sake of somebody else.
Exactly.
So those are the sacrifices made them, and their followers, they call this skin was removed, and still they did not like to become Muslims. Similarly, they called it church. You have got a wheel. That is what do you call it? If these two wheels are joining, and in between a man is put, he will be crushed. So people were crushed like that. Mm-hmm. Still they did not become Muslim. So that was the spirit, and that was this type of sacrifices rarely do not exist. I am not aware of places where this type of tortures were being done to the people.
See, that's the one sacrifice made by the Indian forces.
Yes.
And resulted in very strong South Korea. And now I think we have a very strong bilateral relationship between India and South Korea, right? Yes. Is there any other interesting episode during your service in Korea that you want young generations wants to know?
No, I want to tell it is an ancient, you can say, civilization. Korea is also an ancient civilization, and India is also an ancient civilization. During quite a few centuries back, an Indian princess had travelled from Ajodhya, which is part of United Place or Uttar Pradesh, from India to Korea. There she got married to a prince there, and this is how the relations were built. And now also, a couple of years back, he came across a brigadier who was serving in the Indian Army at that time. So I just happened to meet that gentleman in one of the functions. So he told, I belong to the same clan. I'm a successor in that clan. So, and this is not a legend, it is a real fact which came to the notice. So these are incidents which not only establish our old relations, but it gives an idea that how far progressive, or you can say at that time we were. Now we are actually nowhere as compared to those era. This is about the Korean War, again about the medical performance by our boys there. So those people had the longest stay in the field area, that is the operational area, unlike any other troops which used to be going back to their country and all that. But this was the only medical team which stayed for almost 4 years rather, because of when custodian force went there, they also became part of the custodian force. And they were treating not only the prisoners and the Indian troops, so they were quite helpful. So, and those people, these medical people, they were known as Maroon Angels in South Korea. South Korean people, they still love them. They still call them that you people came here when we needed your aid and help. You saved our freedom, you saved our democracy. That is the regard they have got. And this thing has also been built up because of the close association of the medical teams, medical people there with the local population. Not only with the army people, but the local people. Local people more appreciated. Another small incident, I'll tell you. I was on a revisit mission to this Korea, along my other friends there and their families. So we were visiting Seoul. So at that place we had required to cross to the other side. So the red light was on. So we were standing this side only. So when the green light came, we waited because there were people standing ahead of us. They told us, sir, we told them that please go ahead. So they say, no, how can we go? You are our saviors. You came to us to save us. You have got the privilege to go. Please go, only then we will follow you. So that is the still how much love they have got and affection they have for us. It is a great honor for us. I feel so happy to know all these things. As a nation, we have to build up a lot of effort we have to give for this.
Excellent point, sir. At this point, I want to ask your grandson, Mandip Singh, to join you so that we can talk about the generational talk together, okay? So now we have Colonel Singh's grandson, and please introduce yourself. What is your name, sir?
My name is Mandeep Singh.
Could you spell your first name?
Yes, M-A-N-D-E-E-P.
M-A-N-D-E-E-P.
Yes, M-A-N-D-E-E-P.
What is your birthday?
It's 11th of February 1992.
February 11, 1992?
Yes.
So you are now 30.
30, yes.
Tell me about, what do you know about your grandfather's service for the Korean people? Did he ever tell you about his story to you, or tell me?
I believe I was not aware of it until 2009, and we just got a phone call from him. He stays in Chandigarh, right? So we stay in Delhi, and we got a call that a UN peace camp is going to be there for Korea veterans and for the grandchildren actually. And then that was the first time we got to know about this stuff. And then only I asked him and he told me about the Korean War. And I also went in 2009 to South Korea.
South Korea?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was part of a UN peace camp, yes.
Yep.
In 2009. I just passed out my 12th high school at that point of time.
You were high school?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the only Indian in that particular group from here. And so I was alone there as an Indian. And there were a lot of young all other grandchildren and people were also there in that particular group. So we met there in South Korea, and we were learned a lot actually from there. I stayed for 10 days in South Korea at that time.
So that's the peace camp run by Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs of Republic of Korea, inviting the descendants of Korean War veterans from all over the country to thank them, to thank your grandfather, so that you were one of them.
Yes, sir.
Did you learn anything about Korea when you were in high school in world history?
No, not at that one particular of time.
Even in 2000, you didn't learn anything about Korea here?
Nothing, because most of the history which goes in till high school is of Mughal history and before that only, until the time the Britishers came. So that is the history which is to be learned in till the time high school is there. So we were not aware of.
So you didn't learn anything about the Korean War in the school?
No, we did.
Okay. Anything did you know about Korea by the time when you were in high school and about to go to Korea? Did you learn?
I think at that particular time there was electronic gadgets which were manufactured and supplied to the Indian markets. Samsung is there, and all the particular car industries if we talk about. So we were aware of that at that time.
Mm-hmm. How about culture? Did you like the Korean pop culture or singer or anything like that?
Not at that time, but
No.
as of now, if we talk about, so yes, Korean culture is really great. And
Why? Why
there
Korean
is-
culture do you think is great?
Yes,
You know what? I don't like BTS. I don't I don't give a damn about BTS because, bunch of people come and sing, dancing and singing together. It's not like like a Beatles. So I shouldn't say don't give a damn about it, but it's not favorite. But why do you think that Korean pop culture is good?
But I think there is all sort of culture and which is there, as in India also it is both rock and Sufi and songs are there as well. But I have seen in Netflix, if we talk about, there are lots of Korean series which are going as we talk about the Squid Game, and there's one of
Squid Game, yes.
Game, and then I saw one Silent Sea, and which is the creation is too good, and one cannot imagine that how the suspense which they have created, and so that is really great. And, yes.
So, did your grandfather tell you anything about the Korean War when you going up to the high school? No, he didn't tell you.
I knew that he went to South Korea, but in depth we never talked about that, how it went, and the detail which we have got to know when we went to South Korea. And
So,
yes.
so after you come back from peace camp,
Yes.
what was the lesson? What did you learn? And please tell that to younger students here in India. What did you learn and what is the lesson? What is the history between two countries?
I think the history is really great between both the countries, and what I have seen is that even South Korean people are more of into family tradition thing, and they're very polite and very warm people which we have. So I stayed. When I went, I was 1 day before the whole people used to come, and I stayed 2 days also later
After that.
after they left. So I stayed for 10 days in particular. So I made a lot of friends there in South Korea of different nationalities and different people, and even in South Korean as well. And they also shared their stories with me, and we roam around in Seoul. We stayed in a dormitory in a university
Yep,
there. So
I know. So, but you've been listening to your grandfather's interview, right?
yes,
So the Korea that he saw was really miserable,
yeah,
devastated, totally devastated.
yes,
But now he's very proud.
yes.
So what do you think about this? That you didn't learn nothing about Korean War that your grandfather fought, and still do not teach. What do you think about that?
I think it is really important to know about this stuff, as I have learned during this interview was going on, as if now it is going, and I've learned a lot of new information also from my grandfather, right? And if we talk about history also, this is very important that one should learn that how difficult was it to get an independence or to survive at that particular of time, which these days people does not talk about, because everything is very easy to get and it is more of luxurious life which is there. But the past needs to be remembered, and it is I think important.
What do you do now?
I'm in a bank. I'm working as an investment banker.
So you are working in an investment bank?
Yes.
Very good. You making money?
I'm trying to make.
So, if my foundation hosts the teachers conference here in New Delhi or big city in India, do you think that history teacher will be interested in knowing more about it?
They should be, yes.
I mean, they should be,
They
but
should
do you think they will be interested? They would be interested in?
Well, to be honest, if I tell you that most of the syllabus which is going on, it has not been revised since my father's age only. At that time, if you had graduated in 1980s, the syllabus is still the same. We are in 2022 right now, and so they have not revised the syllabus till now. So it is very important to revise the syllabus during the time. So they should be involved into that.
Do you think we can make a change about that?
Yes,
Do you think so?
yes, and one should do it also.
Mm-hmm.
It will be really great for the young generation and for the students who are studying in the school. So it is important.
Yeah, that's what we want to do.
Yes.
Because there are so many people killed and so many people sacrificed from India. And this is one good story to tell, right?
This is a really great story, to be honest. And it is just an example, but there is one war of Saragadi, and a lot of a Bollywood film was also made on that. But that particular, 21 Sikhs had fought in like 10,000 Afghanis in Afghanistan. And that particular war story is basically there in a French syllabus. People are studying in France, which happened in Afghanistan. But in India, it has not been there. People know when movie was made on it, on that particular subject. But it should be in the syllabus, right? I mean, but it is not.
Yeah, that's why we need to talk with also government officers here and the Korean embassy working together. I know it's very difficult to make a dent on it, but we have to at least try, right?
Yes.
Yes. So, sir, Colonel Singh, what would you say to your grandson about your service as a custodian forces of India? What would you say to your own grandson?
Well, it's a great lesson. We read the history as just like a story, and we forget about it. But history is one thing which requires to be taught, lessons learned, and updated, so that the people know what these teachers in the army will. We are taught the military history, various wars. You mentioned about one Saragadi war. 22 people fighting against 10,000 people.
Yes,
This
sir.
is a great effort, great sacrifice. When this information that 22 people fought and had won the war, when this information reached British Parliament, because at that time India was under British, the entire Parliament stood up and they gave standing ovation that so many people have sacrificed and so many people were defeated. So these were great, and it is one of the, you can say, well-known story of the war, which is being taught in many countries, and hardly anybody knows in India about this thing.
So let's work together,
Yeah.
sir. And we'll see. Mandeep,
Yes.
what would you say to your grandfather?
Well, I think whatever we are, that starts it has started from him, right? And the kind of experience which he has taken and which has been forwarded to us, I think it has been really great. And every year, Korean Embassy, makes a function and there's a dinner which is there and presented. So we go there every year and meet people. So it's a really great respect which is there, and we learn a lot of things also about the culture and about the people which are there. And I really, when I was there in South Korea, the thing which I learned is that after high school, I think students are made to be in defense, right, for 2 years.
Yes.
So that, and which I think is really appreciable. And I think at that particular age, if one gets to be self-disciplined, so the students which were there with me at that particular time, one was going into Air Force, one was going to Navy, and they were very self-disciplined because they were in defense, and then they need to choose that in what field they need to go. And I think that if that gets applicable here also, that will be really great. But I don't know how much possible is that.
Yeah.
But that is a really great practice for the youth, which is there.
So, thank you very much again for sharing your opinions about this whole thing, about the history. Colonel Singh, sir, what would you say to the Korean people about your service and the relationship between India and Korea? What would you say to them?
Well, I say that Korean people are one of the best hard worker. They are very intelligent and honest. They are very diligent in their work, whatever work is assigned to them. We, and as a member of the Korea Veteran Association, and on behalf of my family and other families, I appreciate the love and affection and respect they have given to us, and we feel very proud that they are so kind. They remember us, although 72 years have passed when the war stopped. It is a great honor for all of us, I should say.
This is actually my and Korean people's honor and thankfulness for us, for you two and many Indian forces fight for the Korean people so that we can be friends together, and Korea is one of the strongest nations in the world. So I think it's a good story to tell, and let's work together, sir. Thank you so much for your fight.
Thank you, sir.